Hello and welcome to Let's Talk with Matt and Johnny. In Season 2, we're inviting inspiring guests onto our show to talk about their current journey, and this one is an incredible story from Fiona Devine, who is the CEO of Alexander Devine Children's Hospice. Fiona is very open and honest about her journey of tragically losing her son Alexander and creating the hospice from this. This is an emotional and incredible story, and we urge you to listen to the full podcast. Please don't forget to like, subscribe and comment, and we hope you enjoy.
Hi guys, welcome back to Let's Talk with Matt and Johnny. We've had a little bit of a break, so we're glad to be back due to busy schedules. But today we've got Fiona Devine from Alexander Devine Children's Hospice in Maidenhead. So Fiona, thank you so much for your time and thank you so much for coming on this morning.
A pleasure, thank you for having me.
No worries. So we're basically going to get stuck in straight away. I just want you to introduce yourself and how you come about Alexander Devine and how the hospice set up.
Okay, so my name is Fiona Devine. I am the co-founder and CEO of Alexander Devine Children's Hospice Service. And how this all came to be was that my eldest son, Alexander, was diagnosed with a rare brain tumour at the age of 4. And through our experience and his, we realised very quickly that there wasn't a service locally for children like him. So children that are sadly life limited or life threatened, the specialist care that they require and the respite that we needed as a family, you had to travel out of county for. And that's a very big ask and quite a dangerous ask when very often there are other siblings in tow. By the point that Alexander reached palliative care stage in his journey, we had 2 other younger children. So our support networks were local, and the hospital team that he was under was local. And to go out of county with a very sick child, was not ideal for any of us, and he didn't want to. That was more to the point. So we realised that there was a need. So we went about and did our research of actually how much of a need was there, and could Berkshire sustain a children's hospice? Yeah. Were there, 1, enough numbers of children, sadly, and 2, the fundraising effort, could we sustain financially a children's hospice service? Because actually the misconception about Berkshire a little bit is that we are a very affluent county, and absolutely in parts we are. Yeah. But also we rank very highly in areas of poverty. So, and that's just due to sort of demographics and children under 5 and just some politics around that. So we are a real mixed county. So yes, we decided that there were sadly enough children to sustain a children's hospice service, and secondly that yes, we could fundraise enough money to sustain our service, which is really important. So that's how we came to be, really.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
And how long has the hospice been going now, Fiona?
So we've been going about 14 years now. So we knew when Alexander was in his last year of life about, what we wanted to do to give him a legacy. And he was a very bright child. He was 96th percentile, very funny, really very grown up and wise beyond his years. And we very much were very honest with him about his whole journey. And he asked some very open and honest questions. So we tried to answer those to the best of our ability. They were heartbreaking, some of those questions that he would ask. But for his age and his understanding, we always tried to give a very honest answer. So yes, we've been sort of going sort of the year after his death, really, which was in 2006. And we knew through our research and other parents, really, was the most that we spoke to, and healthcare professionals, that this was a very much needed service. But what I have learned is that in fundraising, it's all about connections and networks, and we really just didn't have any. We were just a very ordinary, or very are still a very ordinary family who happened to be blessed with an extraordinary little boy who actually made all of this possible. And without him, we all wouldn't be here today. So it was a lot of hard work, starting completely from scratch with knowing nothing. And I often say that actually, in hindsight, was probably a little bit of a blessing, because I think if you knew the hurdles and the challenges that you were going to have to face, you probably would never have taken on such a mammoth task.
No.
Yeah.
You've basically turned a really hard situation into a massive positive, haven't you? So it's not like right, you know, what must have been going for, I know obviously he's inspired you to open up the hospice and stuff, but myself going to the hospice now, it's unbelievable, isn't it? What you've made now, the building, the resources, everything you've got there is incredible. So you must now look back and think, wow, all that hard work that you've put in, and the outcome you've seen now is, you know, fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, determination. Yeah. I think blind determination, enthusiasm, and you know, gets you a long way. But I think also actually believing in your cause, believing what you do is the right thing. Yeah. And I never wavered in that. I absolutely knew that this would make a difference to other parents and particularly other children. And it was something that I knew that Alexander really would have approved of. He would not have liked all the fuss in his name. You know, he was very understated in that sense, but he absolutely was a true humanitarian in every sense of that word, and a real champion of the underdog. And that's recognised in his school. And each year they give to a year 3 pupil the Alexander Devine Outstanding Kindness Award to others, and he was a particularly kind little boy. So I know that this would really sit well with him. But yeah, and determination is one of the values that we hold here at the charity as well. And yeah, I think believing wholeheartedly in what you do, you know, you can almost overcome any obstacle that's in your way.
That's really inspiring.
Hi Fiona, I've got a question. So I have volunteered for a charity myself, a charity called Yes Futures, and it's all about sort of helping young children build up their confidence, self-awareness, more personality traits. But I found when I was doing it, it was one of the most rewarding and satisfying things that I've done, not just in my life and me personally as well. But for you, I just want to know, what, obviously you've been doing it for quite a while now, what's been like the number one thing for you? I know there'll be many, but the number one thing for you that's been most transformational for you as a person running this?
I think probably that I have learned that you don't actually know what you're capable of until you have no choice and you commit yourself to something. And then actually I have found a strength in myself that I never knew existed. And I don't credit that all down to me. I credit that to Alexander, because without him, you know, he made the whole journey for us as a family so much easier than it could have been. You know, I often say that he led the way, and we were just very fortunate and lucky enough to be able to follow the example that he set. So I always think, you know, when days are particularly tough, and we still have very much tough days, particularly given the situation that the whole world is in at the moment with COVID. And I often sort of refer back to him and think, okay, what would he say? What would he do? What would he think? You know, he had a great sense of humour, you know, his real comic timing. And so I take great comfort in that, you know, there is no hurdle too big, and he will be up there watching and guiding over us. And, you know, I think that's that hidden strength that, you know, sometimes you just don't know that you have it until, you know, there is no other decision but to get on with it, really.
Amazing.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, that's, you know, and that's for a lot of people as well. A lot of people, you know, you kind of have that, you don't realize how good you can be at something, or how strong, or how strong your heart can be to try and strive for those goals, which is great. And it's what you've created, as Johnny said, and it is fantastic. And you touched on there on COVID, and that was going to be one of my questions, was how has this affected the hospice and the children and staff and everyone, really? I mean, you've all kind of had to carry on. How has that been for you?
I'm really proud to say that we have continued to carry on, and we have continued to provide a service to the children and families, albeit we've had to flex that and adapt. But I think one of the key words that I've been saying to everybody here at Fiona Devine is that we didn't have the luxury to sit back and debate and think about and analyse the decisions that we had to make. We had to be responsive. We're a charity at the end of the day. 96% of our income is charitable donation, and that literally just dried up overnight. Everything that we had planned for 2020 just went literally overnight, and we just have to be reliant on the goodwill and the support of our local community. And when the chips are down, it is amazing how people will pull together and help you. And we had an amazing emergency appeal. All our regular givers upped their donations, and we generated more. Some of our corporates who were, facing the same dilemmas that we were, actually, again, were champions to us. And again, our fundraising, we're having to look at doing things very differently and looking for those opportunities that are hopefully there, but in a different way. We have received a little bit of government money, which has been really fantastic, but that's not going to be forever, and we only had a couple of months of funding of that, so we still have a tough time ahead. But we've always been very prudent in our financial management, and that's something that I take very, very seriously. It gives me untold sleepless nights, has always done over the last decade, because I'm taking it very personally that I am responsible for all the staff groups that we have here, and everybody has bills and mortgages and food to put on the table for their families, and I'm really very conscious of that.
Can you just give us some context around the amount of people that you've got working with you now, like in terms of every sort of department, as opposed to 14 years ago?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
gosh,
you first started.
Well, 14 years ago, it was just myself and my sister and a few friends, and we'd sit around my dining room table and do literally everything. So there's no aspect of this job or this charity that I have not done. And we often say that, when we give presentations and talks, that the charity was formed around my dining room table, and it just grew from there. So I've done banking, I've done press releases, I've done planning. I've done it. It's literally everything. But I've been really fortunate that my family have been amazing, and I've got some really good friends as well, who helped very much in those early days, when you were literally just running from one thing to another and trying to juggle all those balls like we do, like be a mum, keep on top of all the jobs that you would have in the house as well, and do the charity. So we started off quite small and quite steady to begin with. And today we're over 30 employees. The care team is growing. We've got over, I think, over 250 volunteers. And we've got a management team and our board of trustees. So we're very much a different organisation to what we were all those years ago. And that's great. That shows our development and where we've got to in really a relatively short space of time. I'd say our growth has really been exponential since sort of 6 to 8 years. I think if we were a business, we would have done very well.
Yeah. Just touching on, take yourself away from the dining room table before that. What other jobs you've done previous to all of this?
So I was working for social services. So I was a manager of an elder people's home. So I've had a sort of a caring background. Yeah, so that was my background. I worked in social services.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's awesome. So you've took some of that into the work that you're doing now.
Yeah, it's all people related. You know, in one way or another. I think, you know, the difference is that, you know, I cared for in my working life for people who had life and had their life experiences, and it's not the circle of life, is it, that, you know, parents say goodbye to their children first. And so you know, as midwives often say, you know, from the cradle to the grave, and I feel like I've done both ends of that now.
Yeah, sure. Also, I just want to touch on so, you know, the word hospice. Now, this is what really bugs me. Everyone thinks that a hospice is end of life, when it's not, is it?
No.
It's more than end of life. The amount of stuff that you offer is unbelievable. So I just wanted you to sort of break that down, really, to make that very clear to people that are watching now.
You're absolutely right, Johnny. You know, hospice, I prefer the Latin of that word, which means a resting place in life's journey, which I think probably sums it up very nicely.
Yeah. And
you're right, hospice care is so much more than just, you know, end of life care or immediate end of life care. So, and it is very different for adults as it is for children. So we, you know, there is a distinction to be made. And so for children who want to be children and who are children and who should absolutely be treated as such, you know, they want to play, they want to have all the adventures that a childhood should offer them. Despite their capabilities, you know, and what their conditions do to them, that shouldn't limit their opportunities at all. So we very much focus on, you know, life is for living every single day, to be present in that moment as much as you possibly can. And that was a term that I heard a lot when Alexander was ill, you know, live in that moment, live in the minute. And actually that's an extremely difficult thing to do. And it takes an awful lot of focus and training of your own mind to be able to do that. But that was one of the things that kept me going, because actually we, you know, would never know what the day would bring, particularly with his condition being brain tumours. You know, one minute he could be absolutely fine, and the next minute he could be throwing up and have the most awful headache. And you know, we would be running to get the medication to administer it to him to get the pain under control as quickly as possible. But each morning that I woke up, I would say, you know, be thankful that he was here and give the day 150%, because I literally did not know from 1 hour to the next if he would still be with us. And that's a really difficult thing to wrap your head around. But you do learn to live in that moment, and that's all you've got. You know, you can't think about what yesterday brought. You can't think too much into the future. All you've got is that moment. So for our children and families, you know, we offer music therapy, we have play specialists, we have our pool, we do a huge amount of respite work with our children and families, because it is exhausting. It's a 24/7 job. Very often one parent will have to give up work and be the full-time carer, and in some cases that's both parents. So there's financial difficulties and constraints on families as well. There are very often other siblings, so it's about maintaining that normality for them as well. But it's all about having fun and enjoying each day as much as you possibly can.
Amazing. And just to, as well, you're kind of given an insight there into what the children can do. But what types of conditions, you know, I'm sure there's quite a wide spectrum of different conditions that these children have. Can you just give us a bit of an insight into that type of, you know, kind of different levels, really?
Absolutely. So Alexander would have come under the oncology children because he had cancer. But actually, the majority of our caseload is very complex needs children. The children that are born with genetic conditions, heart conditions, neurological conditions. So they do make up a large percentage of our caseload, and therefore are very specialised children to look after. So our care team and our care volunteers and people associated with us are actually really skillfully trained and highly capable individuals. So we have a lot of specialisms at Alexander Devine for our very special children.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, I mean, just the fact that, you know, for me, you know, listening to you talking about this and the love that you're just putting across just in this conversation of how you feel about that. Every time you mention the children, you've got a smile on your face. So it's for me, it's kind of emotional for me, because I just think that it's such a great thing of what you're doing. So brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the other thing to say, Matt, that, you know, a children's hospice, you know, and I'm not just saying that because, you know, we have a children's hospice, but whenever you do go in the doors of children's hospice, and this has been said very much about our children's hospice, is that it is a place full of love and laughter. You know, it's very much about living each day, and they are, you know, entirely happy places. And of course, you know, we do acknowledge and realise and know that there will be, you know, really traumatic and awful days. And we will be here to wrap ourselves around those families for as much or as little as they want us to. And that's another important element of our services. We do offer bereavement support as well. But on the whole, you know, it's about that happiness, that joy, of being together and making those memories, and that's really important. You know, I think more so in this year than any other in our history, isn't it? You know, about how important it is to live for the day.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, there's like a valuable lesson. Like, I just listening to you speak about, like, you know, it's not about yesterday, because you've kind of got to keep moving forward, right? You've got to keep looking for the next day and looking for the next thing, and you haven't got time to worry about what happened yesterday, because there's more going on. And I think that just that in itself is like such a valuable lesson, that you shouldn't really live in the past. You know, there is always a brighter day, and that, you know, you have to keep moving forward. And I think that's amazing. What a question about sort of what your plans are moving forward. I know the boys are probably thinking about this as well, but what is it you're looking to do? You know, what kind of, I know you're creating this legacy, but moving forward for the next 10 years, 15 years, 20 years.
What a question.
Gosh, what a question.
What a question.
Well, I don't know what the next 20 years may hold. I hope I'm still here. But I think it's just, we're probably looking at a 3-year plan at the moment for fundraising. So myself and our fundraising director are going to be sitting down this week actually to really scope that out and put some meat on the bones of that. And I think that's a sensible forecast in terms of we're still expecting COVID to be around in the next couple of years at least. And it's something I think we're going to have to learn to live with. We don't know how effective the vaccines will be when they come, but, you know, hopefully it will be better than it is now. So I think one of the priorities for me for sure is about looking at income over the next 3 years. And, you know, continuing to develop service. You know, we still have so much to achieve. There's so much I still want to do. There's still so many children and families that we need to reach out to. So that for me is the priorities really.
Just touching on reaching out, what's the area that you cover?
Really good questions, Johnny. I want to put you up to all of that. So we cover the whole of Berkshire and some of our surrounding counties, because, you know, Berkshire is this sort of funny shape. It's long and thin. And so we cover sort of parts of South Berks, Hampshire, Surrey, a little bit of Oxfordshire. So yeah, we cover all of those areas, but, you know, predominantly we're a Berkshire-based children's hospice service.
Okay.
And I suppose I could also say that part of our service is that we offer daycare, splash sessions in our hydrotherapy pool, end of life care, obviously, symptom management with our excellent CNSs, our clinical nurse specialists. We offer play with our 2 play therapists, and we have volunteer counsellors as well, and we offer community care, which is huge. and looking to extend further services within the hospice, hopefully next year.
Wow.
Okay. And how have you found that people have raised money during this period of time? You're saying that loads of people have kind of, come up with various different ways of raising money, and I see that there's is it a Santa run or something that you're doing soon as well?
Yes, look at that.
Got it wrong there. Santa Dash, sorry. But yeah, so there's various different ways that people are raising money. So how do you tend to get that money to yourselves?
So you can donate online. We have various methods for you to be able to do that. Just look at our website. And as I previously said, yes, we've been hugely grateful and entirely reliant on donations. So there's again multiple ways in which you can do that. So we have a lovely group of people that give to us on a monthly basis, and that is wonderful because that's what I call our bread and butter money, because you know that that's coming in and you can rely on that. Trusts and foundations have been hugely supportive of charities over the last 6 to 9 months, I think, in this COVID epidemic. So if anybody is a trustee on a charitable trust or knows of a charitable trust, please get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. Community and corporate fundraising are other streams that have obviously taken a massive blow. But there are still groups out there and still schools that want to raise funds. So we are still reaching out to those income streams as well. Our events have obviously taken a bit of a bashing as well this year. So we've been doing things virtually. So as Johnny kindly showed you there, our poster for our Santa Dutch, which will be virtual this year. And that's, it's a real shame because we do actually and are the only charity that run around Windsor Town Centre in our Santa suits. So it's quite a sight. So hopefully we can do it again next year. I'd recommend you come along and do that because it's a great thing to see. And we give all the tourists real value for money as well. They all want to come and take pictures with us outside Windsor Castle. So that's great fun. And next year we're trying to promote events that can be held in a very safe COVID way. So I do believe that we have got planned an abseil down the Blade at Reading. And a fire walk. If anybody fancies walking over hot coals, we're the charity you need to come and do it for.
Andrew, that's a bit of you, mate.
No, to be fair, I've got a few friends who actually do that, and one of them is actually a firewalk instructor. She said it's amazing, like the whole experience of just doing it, not just obviously walking over it, but the experience itself and what it does for you. So,
well, apparently they tell me it's safer than jumping out of an aeroplane.
Yeah, correct.
I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah. Neither one really appeals to me.
Yeah,
we get burned.
Quite extreme.
So yeah, there's obviously lots of ways that people can donate, and we have some lovely major donors as well that have really supported us. So we've been very fortunate and we're so grateful. But obviously we have to raise over $1.5 million a year, so it's a lot of money to find when you are almost completely reliant on voluntary donations.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my next question, was how much do you need to raise per year? But and when you think of that, you think, oh, that sounds like a load of money, but it's actually, you think that actually there's a lot of people that donate to children in need, or they do all these types of things, and if if a portion of that can go to a great charity like yours, then it needs to be. And again, it's something like the local people coming together. And there's always these ways of people trying to raise money now, and especially these virtual things. And I think that's a great way of doing it, is actually getting the exposure to the wider people being able to do it. So that's a great thing. So good luck with that. Hopefully that goes well. So.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah. We just keep plugging away. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, I mean, Fiona, it's been fantastic to speak to you, and just to get an insight into Alexander Devine and the history of it as well. For me, obviously, I've know of the charity. I've obviously raised money with Johnny as well, doing these big sessions and stuff that we've done our boot camps and things out in the fields of Newbury. But yeah, again, hopefully we can start raising money again, towards the end of this year with the Santa Dash, and also into next year. So, and from us three especially, is that we wish you the best of luck for the rest of this year and for the years going forward. And for me, I mean, I know that I'd love to come down and see the hospice myself. I haven't done that myself, but I'd love to when it's safe to do so, obviously. But yeah, thank you so much for your time. It's been fantastic to get an insight into that, and we really appreciate it. So we don't want to hold you up any longer. We'll let you go now. But thank you so much for your time, and yeah, thank you again.
Thanks, Fiona. Cheers.
Thank you all very much, and it's been such a pleasure, and thank you for giving us this opportunity to be able to tell our story. We're really grateful. Thank you all very, very much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening, and thank you again to Fiona for being so open and honest about her journey so far. Yet again, Let's Talk has had another incredible guest onto the show to talk about their inspiring journey, and please check out the other episodes. Fiona, it was a pleasure to have you on the show this week, and we wish you all the best for the future for the hospice. Each and every week we'll be having more incredible guests onto the show, so please stay tuned. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment, and we'll see you next week. Take care.